I'm Evander Blakely here with Ruben Cortes. Ruben, do we have permission to interview and record?
Yes, you do.
Thank you. For starters, where are you from?
I'm from Salinas, California. Well, originally born in LA, but we moved to Salinas when I was about 5. So as far back as I can remember, we've been living in Salinas.
Where are your parents from?
My parents are from Mexico. Both of my parents are from the state of Michoacan. And Michoacan, it's I'd say in the middle of Mexico. So when they came over, they came through Mexico and up to California. So we're, you can say, a long way from home.
Yeah.
Long way from home, yes.
So when did your parents come to Salinas and why here?
Well, from what they tell me, my aunt's husband was working already here in Salinas. And actually, I believe my dad, he was on his way to either Washington, the state of Washington, or Oregon. I forget which one it is. But my aunt's husband invited him to stay here in Salinas for a little bit, and actually he was able to get a job going, and then he got another job after that, and the weather was good, and my mom, since my aunt was already here, she felt comfortable in Salinas, so ever since then we've been living here.
Just came.
Yeah.
What kind of work did they do when they came
here? Well, when we came here, my dad was originally working in the celery, which is like in the fall, and then also in the lettuce, which is most of the summertime. And so at first it was like seasonal, but after a while he was able to catch on to do yearly work here in Salinas. So that's what they started working in the fields.
So they were farm workers.
Yes, you're correct. Farm workers.
What was it like being a child of farm workers?
Well, most of my friends, they were in the same circumstances. We as children, mostly of Latino descent, most of their parents work in the fields, and because we were in the same neighborhood, same kind of economic situation, most of the people did work in the fields. So we got along. We knew each other's problems or what have you. But yeah, most of my other friends, their parents worked in the fields too.
Okay. Did you have any siblings?
Yes. Traditionally, in the Mexican families back in the day, there didn't exist Social Security. So the way it's worked in Mexico is that, well, the more siblings you have or more offspring you have, it guarantees you a little bit easier life as you get older. So in our case, there was 7 altogether, 4 boys, 3 girls. Of the boys, I was the oldest, so I have 1 older sister. So I was one of the older ones in my family. So total 7.
Being the oldest boy in the house of 7, what type of responsibilities did you have?
Well, naturally, as both of my parents worked, so when my mom's was working late, it's either babysitting or my sister would, maybe just get the dinner started and things of that sort. But just looking after my other siblings is what was our task.
Good. Is there any childhood memories that stick out in your head that you would say helped shape you into the person you are today?
Well, when we grew up in Salinas, I've always liked school. For some reason or another, we always went to summer school, and I remember in our neighborhood, and it was pretty unique, there used to be a bookmobile. There used to be a bookmobile that used to come, I believe, one day a week, and I just can remember just waiting for the bookmobile to arrive to get a new book to look at. And so I remember as a young kid always waiting for the bookmobile. Something kind of unique.
The bookmobile, was it just based in your neighborhood, or did it go to neighborhoods around the area?
Yeah, I believe it went to other neighborhoods in our area, and I don't know exactly how they run it today, but I do know it exists. So I know it exists. So that's a good tradition to follow, in my opinion.
Like, how was Chinatown around the time you was a child?
Well, the way it broke down, or the timeline breaks down, is that I went through high school, and as soon as I graduated high school is when we established a business in the Chinatown area. So we've been in Chinatown since I was about 18, and right now I'm 43. So about 25 years. But so most of my memories or what have you is after I was 18. So I don't have any childhood memories, but I do have memories as an adult. Yeah.
Okay. Where did you attend school in Salinas?
Well, when we lived in North Salinas, my elementary school was Santa Rita Elementary, and then and I believe in the 5th grade we moved to South Salinas, and I ended up transferring to University Park Elementary. And after elementary there, I moved on to Washington Junior High School. After that, Salinas High School, graduated in 1986. Then after that, I stayed local at the local JC, Harnell College, and eventually moved on to San Jose State, where I graduated in 1994.
As far as diversity in school in Salinas, what type of groups were there, and did you feel comfortable being there?
Well, when I was in elementary in Santa Rita School in North Salinas, it was more of a mix of ethnic communities, whether they be Filipino, Black, Latino, some white. And after I moved to South Salinas, the majority of my classmates were white. A few Latinos here and there, a few Blacks, and a few Filipinos, but majority was white when I moved to South Salinas. So it was a little bit of a culture shock, but hey, you got to get with the times. So
yeah. About this culture shock, what do you mean? Like,
well, as I was going through University Park, some of the classes were pretty tough, and so I did pretty good. And then as I transferred into Washington Junior High School and Salinas High School, more times than not, there'd be maybe like 1 or 2 Mexicans in the class, and the majority of the class was white. So it was a little bit different, but I heard it's a little more mixed nowadays. So it's somewhat different from when I went there.
I understand. At any point in your childhood, would you say it was difficult at any time?
In my childhood, I had a pretty good childhood. Nowadays, most of the young Latino men in Salinas have been having it a little bit tougher due to some of the gangs or what have you in Salinas area. Back in my day, most of the fighting was done with fists, and nowadays they shoot bullets, and they just don't know where the bullets go. And unfortunately, a lot of young men, they've been casualties of these bullets.
I completely understand that. So around the time you was a child, the farm workers movement began to form. Do you have any remembrance of that or involvement or anything?
I remember my dad, he's saying, I know I don't remember the exact details, but back in the day, there used to be strikes, and I believe, some of the workers had to cross the picket lines, and the threat of violence was always there. But I don't know exactly back when I was maybe like 4 or 5. I remember something like that, but I wasn't able to pick up on what the exact details were. But as I got older, I read about it a little bit, and so I know a little bit about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Earlier you mentioned that you attend San Jose State.
Yes, I did, from 1990 to 1994.
Can you describe how that was?
Well, my first year, I was able to stay at the dorms, and I've always worked, and so when I first stayed at the dorms, it was being a student 24/7, and so I wasn't really accustomed to that, and so after my first year at San Jose State, I decided, well, for my time remaining, to commute and be a part-time student because, school's not cheap, and so I had to do what I could do to work a little part-time job here and there, and pay for my classes. And back in the day, the school tuition was okay. It wasn't that expensive, but now it's outrageous. I don't know how you students do it.
Outrageous.
But I feel for you. And so I don't know, what the future holds, but just hang in there. It'll get better.
Thank you. Did you said you moved home back to Salinas when you were in college?
We moved home. I moved home, and most of my classes I tried to get them either Tuesdays and Thursdays or Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And so I was able to get my classes in either 2 or 3 per semester. What did me in was doing the group projects. I'd schedule my classes either Tuesday and Thursday, and then maybe as a group project they wanted to meet Thursday and Friday. And so I'd end up, doing a little bit extra time on the road, but it was okay. It was worth it at the end.
Understandable. So commuting from
Salinas
to San Jose?
Yes, back in the day, and this was back in 1990, CSUMB was in its infancy. It was barely getting off the ground. So at that time, either my choice was UC Santa Cruz, which I liked very much, and also San Jose State. And I chose San Jose State because it was a little bit more, they had the major, what I kind of wanted to focus on, whereas the UC was still, I believe they called it econ major, whereas in San Jose State it was a business major. Specifically, you had a minor in finance, accounting, or marketing and human resources, or it was more detailed oriented. So I chose San Jose State, and that was really my only option, was for after graduating from Hartnell. It's either, for me, something close, which was one of those 2 schools.
I understand. What did you major in?
Well, I majored in business administration, and as I said before, within business administration, you have a concentration, which was either finance, marketing, human resources, and some other subjects. But I chose finance, and you had to have a minor, and my minor was advertising. Yeah.
Why did you choose advertising?
Well, I needed something simple, because those finance books they can be pretty dry. They can be pretty dry.
Yeah. So you grew up here. You went to college. You're a business major, and now you own the business, right?
Yes, I do. We own the business. We own 2. We have a hotel that we bought in 2006, and next door we have a automotive dealership that we have been there since 1987.
Where are your businesses located?
One, they're both along Market Way, right on the corner of Market and Sherwood, and then the other one is at the corner of Market Way in California.
Okay. Is there any particular reason you chose that area?
Well, back in the day, when I say back in the day, in 1987, it was an area that was reasonable in terms of price. We were renting first, and then we were able to buy. But rent in that area in Chinatown was reasonable, so that's our major. That was our major deciding factor why we went into Chinatown, because the price was right.
I understand. Are you in it alone? Are your siblings with you, or is it a family type of thing?
Right now, my siblings, they work other jobs. One is in San Diego, and I have a brother who works in plumbing, and one that works in truck driving, and I handle the business by myself.
Good, good. About your hotel, do you know the history behind it?
Well, we bought that place in 2006, so I've asked around a little bit, and from what I gather, it was built somewhere around 1950. Really don't know too much about it, but as I continue to speak with some of the older neighbors, hopefully I'll get a little bit more history of what that place holds in the neighborhood there.
Yeah, the hotel was kind of historic within the Filipino and Chinatown community,
Mm-hmm.
and now you have it. How do you feel about that as a big Filipino landmark in the hands of a Latino?
Well, most of the businesses in Salinas are starting to be tailored toward the Hispanic community, and some of them are owned by the Hispanic community. So as our population grows within Salinas, I believe it's a natural occurrence that we as Latinos buy some of the businesses and run some of the businesses, and so it's natural progression. It's just like evolution.
Mm-hmm. As a Latino that grew up in Salinas, what does it mean for you to have your own business here now?
Well, most of the customers that we do have, I'd say 75% are Latinos, and then the other 25%, whether it be white, black, or Filipinos, or Asian, or what have you. But because we're Latino owners, we can cater to our community and relate to some of the customers' worries or questions that they might have. Yeah.
So, it means a lot to you to own a business here, right?
Yes, it does. It's been tough. Sometimes when economic times are difficult, it's not easy, but you just hang in there and hope things get better. But yeah, owning a business is it's not an easy job. Sometimes you got to work late hours, but yeah, you feel comfortable, being your own boss. At least I do. So I like that aspect.
You mentioned it being hard. What do you mean by that? What kind of difficulties have you experienced?
Well, sometimes dealing with insurance companies, and sometimes the natural process of business, whether certain products turn out bad, or just basically when you're a business owner, sometimes you're the first to come in and last to go, and so customers come and go and employees come and go, but you always have to take care of most of the details, and so that gets to be sometimes pretty tiring, but if it goes well, you benefit the fruits of your labor.
Understandable. Would you view yourself as influential to those young people growing up in the Salinas community now, saying that I came from the same community that you came from, and now I'm a business owner and I have something that I can call mine? And how does that make you feel?
Well, yeah, as I was stating before, some of our youth, some of the Latino men in the community, young men, um, like to use guns instead of fists if they have a problem. And so you really can't take that bullet back, whether you're going to receive that bullet or aiming that bullet. It just puts you in a bad spot. And so it just points you in the bad direction. And if you go the other direction, you just have you're open to other possibilities that can benefit your life. And for me, I just choose not to follow their path, and so I follow other paths, and you just look to certain people, whether it's role models that you have in school or role models that you have in your family, and go that route, and hopefully create a positive environment for your own family, and for so you could eventually be that role model that people can look up to.
I understand. Since your business is located in Chinatown, do you feel a special relationship within that community? Like, are you active within that community?
Yes, I am. Specifically, we have a board that meets every month, and right now I co-chair that board. The name of the board is the Salinas Downtown Community Board, and right now our major emphasis is revitalizing Chinatown. One of the projects that is the outcome of the board is the Republic Cafe, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yeah.
And so that eventually will be a museum to store some of the Chinatown historic items and the history, and hopefully be a cafe and a museum and be something positive for the neighborhood. Other aspects of the board is dealing with revitalization, and slowly but surely we're progressing on that. We have a number of projects in the works, and so hopefully with some of those projects we're able to help some of the residents in the Chinatown community, specifically some of the homeless that have issues. We can give them a hand there.
I understand. What does it mean to be Latino sitting on the Chinatown Renewal Board?
Well, from my point of view, it's a little bit different. I used to just attend, and but slowly but surely, it's everybody takes a position. Whether it be secretary, or in my case, being the co-chair now, and we kind of do like a round robin kind of deal, and so everybody takes a position here sooner or later, and so it just so happens it's my turn now, and so it's challenging at times, but I see the inner workings of how organizations work and different boards, how they work, and so it's interesting to me.
Good. Do you believe the goals of this project will bring about change in the community?
I believe so. Specifically, as I stated before, some of the homeless have certain challenges, and whether they be mental challenges or physical challenges, it's a matter of finding the right options for them, and maybe getting them to a specific office or what have you, and helping them out in some form or manner.
What inspired you to join the project, and what was your hopes and
Yeah, well, what inspired me was that CSUMB came into the neighborhood, and it was something different, and I just wanted to find out, what was it about, and so it's just everything. It's been positive since CSU UMB came aboard, and that's one of the reasons I'm here doing the interview with you. Is in a way to say thank you for coming down to our neighborhood, showing interest in our neighborhood, and so basically just paying it back, Because I remember when I was a student in San Jose State and we had certain projects like these, I know how it was, and so now I'm roles are reversed now. I'm the one that is coming down to help you guys out. So CSUMB has been just a real positive in our neighborhood, and anything to help CSUMB, I'm all for it.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe more Latinos should be involved in this project, or more people in general?
Yeah, definitely. There's certain projects that we want to accomplish, and so it takes a lot of people to get some of the details accomplished. There's a lot of volunteer opportunities, and so the more the merrier. I know in Chinatown there is a number of Latino businesses, but unfortunately most of the volunteers that we do have are from the city, or social service providers, or from church organizations, and so not too many Latinos.
Since the area is known for a large amount of homeless people, not the Chinatown Renewal Project, but what have your business has any way helped the community?
Yes, specifically we, when I say the business, the hotel business, we house some of the people who are through the mental health through the county, and so we've been able to, it's a give and take, we help them out by taking in some of their clients, and some of those clients are homeless individuals, so we provide a room for them, and of course they provide money, or in the client's case, rent money. And so it's a give and take. Like I said, we try to help them out, and of course they help us out. And so the homeless in the community, yes, we do help them out when we can. We take them in when we can.
So you would say your business is very beneficial to the community?
Yes, I would say so. I mean, if you ask some of the people along Soledad Street, we've helped a number of people out. Yes.
You mentioned that you've been there since 1986.
Since 87.
87. Sorry about that. I know you've had some interesting occurrences and memories that build it up over time. Can you share any with us?
Well, specifically, it's more dealing with the hotel, and like I said before, there's a number of homeless people in Chinatown, and so after a while you get to know who they are and what have you, and it seems like everybody has a story. Some people just out of different situations in life, whether they've been into drugs, or they've just had psychological problems. You get to know them a little bit, and so certain people that you would think who you'd never be friends with, after you get to know them a little bit, you get to find out, what their situation is, and you get to know them a little bit. And so, like I said before, there's certain people in the neighborhood where I thought, wow, I don't know what his problem is or what situation is, and it just sometimes turns out that they become our tenants. So, specific situations, I would say, taking in tenants who you don't think you'd take in.
It sounds like you made a good relationship with the people around you. Are there any specific people that you can maybe talk about, or give us the story about how y'all met, or anything of that nature?
Well, there's this individual. I won't name him by his actual name, but there's this individual who just all of a sudden appeared in our lobby, and I was kind of taken back and said, "Wow, what's this person doing here?" And he said, "Oh yeah, I need a room," and it turns out that his other place. I'm not sure what the circumstances were, but um, I guess he wasn't allowed to have cable. And he asked me, well, if I were to stay at your place, would you help me out with some cable? And I said, okay, yeah, sure, we can try to work on that for you. And to this day, he's been like a perfect tenant. And at first, like I said, when he arrived in the lobby, I kind of sat back and said, oh, who's this person? And no, like I said, little by little you get to know certain people, and then you understand what kind of circumstances they come from, and so I'd say just get to know people, and they'll surprise you.
It sounds like you went through a lot of hard work growing up, on your own business, going to school. What words would you say to somebody who wants to be in your position? Like, what steps would you tell them to get there?
Well, I would say, get as much as education as you can, and pick something that you like. And in my case, I've always liked cars and things of that sort. And so, as they say, pick something that you don't think it's work to you. And certain people, they like doing certain jobs, and if it's something that you like, it just won't seem like work. And so I would say follow that route. After you could get as much education as you can under yourself, that'd be the positive route.
Because your parents were farm workers, do you have any, let's say, any funds set up for, or anything to say to those people working the fields? Like, because your parents been there, they did that, and I understand it's hard. And what would you have to say to those people?
Yeah, it is hard work and it's honest labor, but there are other opportunities, because the body wears down after a while, so you really can't be working out there too long. And so sometimes it's just a little bit easier if you can find some way to get some education. I know a lot of farm workers, sometimes they take night school, try to get their GED or what have you, and so that's positive. That's a positive step. Just keep working at it. I know it's tough, but through education, you get somewhere.
Are you familiar with the Bracero movement that took place here? And
Yeah.
are anybody close to you, or any relatives that that were involved in the Bracero era?
I read about it. I'm not too familiar with the details, but no, I can't say that my parents were in the Bracero movement. But like I said, I've read about it, and I know a little bit about it, but no, as far as my parents being involved in it.
Okay. Do you feel like at any point that you want to pack up and leave the area? Or are you tied to this area and this is home for you?
Yeah, when I finished school, that was an option. It was either, well, find a job somewhere out there in San Jose and, start from scratch, or, come back home and, just be around somewhere where I'm kind of like familiar with, and some of the people that I know and I feel a little bit more comfortable with here in Salinas, so that's why I came back home. Yeah.
Are you married?
I'm engaged, yeah.
Oh,
Engaged,
good.
yeah. Pretty soon tie the knot there.
Yeah. So, other than your wife, what holds you here? Like, what do you say?
Well, we have a number of investments that are in real estate, and so it's just always good to kind of keep an eye on your holdings. From what I hear or from what experience tells me is that if you have a certain real estate, you want to not be more than an hour away from your investments. And so my fiance, she has a number of investments too, and so we're kind of tied to the community that way through what we have. Yeah, and plus we have relatives that live close in the area, and so that ties us here to the community, and so that's why we stay here. Yeah.
Um, your business being based out of Chinatown, do you receive a lot of clientele in that area, or are people kind of scared away because of what the area is known for?
Yeah, I'd say yes and no. We do because we're you can say in East Salinas more than other parts of Salinas. We're in East Salinas, and so most people when they come to East Salinas, well, they expect it's a little bit more tougher part of town. But Chinatown makes it a little bit more difficult getting customers in because of the area. There's a lot of homeless around, and so sometimes people are a little bit weary going into the neighborhood. But as soon as you get to know the neighborhood, it's really not that bad.
With the Chinatown Renewal Project, is that what you hope by renewing and restoring the area will bring more business to your?
Yeah, eventually I think it would be a positive aspect out of the renewal process as renewal starts to take hold through different parts of the neighborhood. Yes, I think it'll eventually attract different clientele that would not necessarily come into Chinatown now, but in the future, if they feel that it's safe enough for them to enter, yeah, I do think we'd get additional customers through the renewal process. Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna stay with the Chinatown
Sure.
theme.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's an area notorious for drugs and things of that nature.
Yes.
Have you had any experiences with that with your business? Like anytime you had to put the hammer down, like you have to get away from here, or
I think in Chinatown most of the drug trade is along Soledad Street, and we're one block down, and it works out that they're not really concentrated, in our neighborhood. I mean, in our where we have our businesses, but they are on Soledad Street. So, I really just don't go down to Soledad Street other than when we have our board meetings. So it really is limited as to affecting our business. So, yeah.
I mentioned the history of your hotel. Are you familiar with the history of the Republic Cafe?
I know a little bit about it, not too much. I do know the owner, and he's shown me some pictures of the past when it used to be, the place to be or the place to get some food. From what I understand, it was a really happening place, but naturally through time, as people move out of the area and as his relatives go into different businesses, it's been on a slow decline, but I believe it's going to be a cultural center, a museum, and I think CSU and B is going to have maybe a classroom there. I'm not sure, but it's gonna rebound, and I think it's going to be a positive aspect in the neighborhood.
Yeah. What stamp do you want to leave on the community?
Well, as I mentioned before, we have a couple of businesses there in Chinatown, and so I eventually want to pass them on to my kids or my nephews and see it continue down the line. And so that's what I like to leave is something that we started, and hopefully it'll be there when we get older.
I understand. At your business, do you sell cars or do you mainly fix them?
No, we sell pickup trucks. We sell trucks.
Okay. Why sell pickup trucks and that's it?
Well, it's something that it's our niche in the business. We just feel that if somebody needs a pickup truck, they know where to come. And so that we just like they're easier to work on. When you need to fix something, a pickup truck normally has a lot of room to work in under the hood or what have you. When you go to compact cars, everything's kind of like tight compartment, and so it's a little bit tougher to work on.
Yeah. Since you grew up here in the 70s and 80s?
Well, I
Mainly the 80s?
graduated in 1986 in high school, so I could say 70s and 80s, yeah.
In what ways
When I was a kid.
In what ways have the city changed?
Well, as I mentioned before, back when we were kids, when there was an altercation or whatever, we used to throw water balloons or fight it out with our fists. But nowadays, Salinas has been notorious for gang movement and just the spraying of bullets everywhere. I mean, it's just kind of getting out of hand, and so we gotta own it. Something in our family structure has gone wrong, and we just need to correct that. We need to raise our kids a little bit better and start raising them when they're young. When they're a little bit old, it's a little bit too late, and so we need to work on that as Latino men and women. We just need to do a better job as parenting our children.
If you were able to send a message to those people, what would you say? I mean the young people, not their parents.
Well, just stay away from gangs and stay out of that environment. Just look to other options. I mean, it's just you really can go far nowadays, and just step out of Salinas a little bit and explore different areas, and you'll see that there's other options than the gang life.
What do you feel are the main issues and main concerns that need to be addressed within the community? Not just the gang violence, but as far as education, labor. What do you feel are the main issues that need to be addressed within this community?
Well, always crime was an issue, but being that we're in business, always you want to have other businesses come down to Salinas. I know one business is pulling out, Capital One, which employs a lot of people, and so we want to have Salinas attract more companies and create opportunities for different professionals, and so we feel that Salinas needs a shot in the arm from the business community, something to help the people who are in Salinas, find a positive working environment.
What would you say that you give opportunities to community members within your businesses? Like, would you hire people from this community, or?
Yeah, definitely. When the time is right, and economy improves a little bit, yeah, certainly, hiring local is always the best, And so I think that, like I said before, as companies start to pull out, hopefully other businesses will want to pull in and take advantage of the workforce that is here in Salinas.
So you open your business to the homeless. You sit on
Yes,
the
we do.
Chinatown Renewal Board.
Yes, I do.
What other ways are you involved in the community, or is that basically?
That's my day basically. Work, and then volunteer some of my time, and that's it. Go home and do it again the next day. So that's what I do now.
Is there any time where you say, this is too much? Like, I sit on the board, I do all of this, I got businesses, I just need a break.
Yeah, sometimes, and so that's when my fiance steps in and says, "Well, we need a vacation." So we plan out vacations, and so we take care of it that way. It's just sometimes it does get stressful after a while, working long hours, but you just gotta plan out your vacations and make sure you get some time off.
But what life values do you feel that you learned growing up here?
Well, Salinas is a tough place. Sometimes other youth in different cities have more, I guess, fun activities. And growing up in Salinas, it's a little tough. Not that many fun things to do for young people, and I understand that. And so hopefully, in the future, we'll bring more fun activities for the young people to get involved in. But sorry, lost track. What was the question?
What did growing up here teach you basically about life, about the value of life, education?
Just hard work. Basically it's hard work, and so we just continue to work hard, and positive things happen.
Good. Are there any other forms of business that you plan to open? Are you planning on expanding, or?
Well, like I said before, the economy is a little tough right now, but in the future, yeah, maybe we'll think about expanding. But for now, we just trying to pay our bills.
I understand.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would like to share that we haven't covered?
No. I just want to reiterate and thank CSUMB for coming into our neighborhood and showing an interest in our neighborhood, and definitely taking the lead in having like what they call a learning center there. I know a lot of residents in Chinatown use the computers at the learning center, whether it be to build a resume or to check their email or what have you. And so it's just from what I hear in the neighborhood, people use it and they love it. And so I love CSUMB for coming down and just taking our interest in the neighborhood and helping people there. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's about it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Wraps it up.